As you can see here, this is the shooting scene of Hypercar 2023, Chief of Police. The following recording is from News 24's recorder Daniel Regal. So what happened? We were recording in the studio for the news, and as you can see here, we immediately started hearing shots. We're not sure about the whereabouts of the suspect. We know some people seem to be happy for some reason, dancing around the dead body of or alive body of the officer. We're not sure who the officer is, and we're not sure what's happening. But find out more on News 24.
Who's shooting?
Contact.
They just shot the hostage.
No,
They shot the hostage. They shot the hostage. Reach.
She's far on the window. She's far on the window.
Out the other side. Out the other side. Out the other side.
Squat's inside,
Car gone. Car.
SWAT's inside. SWAT's
Car gone.
inside.
Car gone. Car gone. Car gone.
Hold. Look.
Hey, any patrol
Hostage,
officers, anything, be careful.
Hey, firm, we got the hostage. Suspects.
All units on the highway. They're on the highway running. Highway running.
Bobby, show me en route. Show speed unit en route.
Shots. Additional shots.
Shots
That
fired.
was me
Shots
shooting through the
fired.
window.
223, show me right.
State your full roleplay name for the record.
Yeah, I am Harper Lynn Williams, the Fort Worth Police Department Chief of Police.
Alright. So, as you can see, the scenes that happened a few days ago, we are totally sorry for what happened. We express our full heart for your recovery, and we are so happy that you recovered. Well, we have one question, starting with one. We start with one question. How are you after being a target for such a heinous attack?
I'm lucky to say that thanks to the immediate response of multiple of my own officers, as well as my sister agencies, we had multiple Tarrant County deputies as well as DPS troopers that were arrived on scene. I am happy to say I am alive, I am well, and I've made a full recovery. So I'm doing much better, obviously, since that event. And yeah, if it wasn't for my officers getting there as quickly as they did, I don't know what could have happened. I owe my life to my officers.
All right. Well, we pay our gratitude to those officers as well. So, can you tell us what exactly happened?
Yeah, so I was handling administrative duties remotely. I was handling some duties remotely from my squad car. I was parked outside the courthouse. And then I hear a noise. I look up and I see that there's two people like standing standing on either side of my patrol car. There's one on my driver's side, one on my passenger side. I got a little suspicious, so I contacted dispatch and was like, "Hey, there's two people standing outside of my car. Can you send a couple units my way, please?" And dispatch immediately starts sending units towards me. And at that point, the guy on my driver's side pulls a gun. And so I immediately activated my panic. He orders me out of my own vehicle. I comply with him, and I hear the sirens approaching. Multiple officers arrive on scene, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up in a hospital room. I was told that I was shot several times in the back by the suspects. We're not sure what their original intentions were. If their original intent was to kidnap me or to do whatever they were going to do. They did at that point. I was told that they did steal some of my service equipment, which was later recovered. But yeah, that's like from the best I remember, that's what happened.
Alright, do you know who the suspects were?
I've had not met them before. I obviously after the situation, like I became fully aware, like their file and the events that followed, with them being involved in kidnapping another civilian out in Springfield and stuff. But no, I up to that point I'd never met those individuals.
All right. So you also don't know why you're targeted then.
And correct, yeah.
All right. So looking at the footage, well, we saw the public and people dancing and making videos and basically supporting the attack on you. How does the department feel about those people?
I think honestly, we just kind of ignored them. Anytime we have like a big scene like that, there's always people there that, regardless of what happened, like I feel like some people fail to realize the gravity of the situation, and like sometimes mock the situation. But we just kind of turn away from that and ignore it. Because obviously my people had a lot bigger things to be worrying about than a couple of people just emoting and being silly or next to the scene. Once we had the scene secured, I was informed that those people luckily did stay back like they were supposed to. So there's nothing we can really do against that. So we just tend to turn a blind eye and pretend that they aren't there.
All right. Do you think maybe there's a specific political reason why the public would act this way to the Fort Worth Police Department or your shooting?
There's been a lot, obviously, as I'm sure you know, FWPD, and since its introduction, has always had its struggles with public view. Unfortunately, some of our prior command team made some very questionable moves and decisions while they were in command of this agency that caused public opinion to sway against us. And then, of course, we always have to battle with the unwhitelisted. They're not the greatest addition to this department, so we're always having to somewhat battle that. I can say that our our current command team, myself as well as the rest of my command team that I am put in position, are very highly regarded within the public. We held a public opinion assessment. I want to say a couple days, like last week, in which almost all my command team was just showered with praise and everything. So for most of the community, we are very highly regarded. It's just, there's always, like I said, there's always going to be some people that just don't like cops, don't like the agency and everything. So
All right. So as chief of police, how do you think the department can improve against those or for these specific public opinions?
So something that we always, the biggest thing that we can do to improve public opinion is to engage in more community policing, which is steps that we are actively taking here within FWPD. We've made a lot of changes recently that got rid of a lot of the inactivity problem, which was the biggest problem FWPD was facing, was having people that were employed that were inactive. We ended up removing about 50% of total personnel in order to remove inactive officers. And since then, we've seen a lot of very highly positive changes. Obviously, we need to engage in more community events. Speaking of, this afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern is a community recruiting fair. So anybody who has questions about the FWPD can come down and talk to us. We'll have representative of every division on scene. We'll have our SWAT team. We'll have our speed enforcement unit, and we'll have patrol, as well as we'll be able to showcase and kind of show off why FWPD is one of the best agencies out there. But it's just, like I said, more engaging in more community policing, because a lot of the problem is that when people see a cop, they're always worried, like, oh, I'm going to get arrested, I'm going to get pulled over. No, that's not what FWPD is here to do. We're not here to just arrest people and write tickets. We're here to, protect the public, engage with our community. And so that's something that I, since becoming chief, have focused a lot on, is the community policing side of things, not just the standard policing of, okay, this person committed a crime, so now we have to go and arrest them type stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow. That was a very beautiful statement from you. If I may say.
Well,
Um.
thank you.
So, as a department, is there anything the department can do to ensure this doesn't happen again to any department leader or an officer?
Obviously, random attacks, unfortunately, are something that are that's always trained on how to deal with. I, for one, my people, as far as like from a policy standpoint and an internal review of the situation afterwards, my people did everything that they could, given the situation at hand. They were there as quickly as they could be. It was just, unfortunately, the situation was volatile from the start with the suspects, doing what they did. Our best thing we can do is just, continue like hammering those training policies of how to handle random attacks and stuff, which is something that we obviously always have to be aware of everything. So it's just, continuing furthering better training against these types of events, making sure that, we always have units in close proximity like we did on that situation. I think the first officer that was dispatched out there arrived in less than 30 seconds. So our response time to that scene was amazing. Like I said, huge round of applause to all of the officers who pitched in and were there to assess the scene, and, deal with everything. I'm also really proud of how quickly my officers, once the scene was the scene was rather safe. I was really proud of how quickly my officers, secured the scene, had medics rolling into the scene and everything. Like, I watched everybody's body cam afterwards. There's not a single thing I can complain about that they did wrong. It's just, it's really hard to prevent against random attacks because they're so random.
Alright, so now after the scene, correct me if I'm wrong. The two suspects took a civilian hostage, and they said the specific reason was because the hostage was apparently wearing pajamas, pants with Hello Kitty images on the pants, saying it represented American propaganda and capitalism. So, do you think maybe that's what caused the suspects to attack you?
There, honestly, the speculation could go for miles, right? Well, we will truly never be able to know why they why they did the things that they did. Unfortunately, the key thing about policing is that we don't engage in the speculation. Obviously, yes, we have to investigate motives and stuff, and the motives are obviously quite confusing, especially in this case, nonetheless. But the main thing we have to do is just ground ourselves in the facts of what happened and ground ourselves with what evidence there is to back things up. I can't really say for sure what their motives are because you never know what's going through a suspect's mind when they do things like this. But what I can say is from that hostage scene, there obviously was a lot of moving parts there. My tactical team, after my attack, was obviously mobilized. My TAC team was on scene for that event and was attempting to plan a breach from the rear when things went haywire. I don't know what exactly happened there. I'm not sure if the suspects had like a camera on the back and saw our officers or what. But we can never truly, especially with those suspects, it was just they were so volatile, so random, like for lack of better words, random in their actions. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. They were very hard to predict from a law enforcement aspect of what are these guys going to do. So it's just yeah,
So, very radical.
very, very, very erratic, very, and nothing seemed to have a plan of what they were doing. It just seemed like they were just doing it to do it, and for lack of better terms.
Alright, so public opinion doesn't really agree with the fact that SRT or SWAT, they raided the building from the back or breached the building from the back, and people are saying that's why the hostage was killed.
So on that particular breach, my tactical team had made the decision to enter from the rear because at the point where, or from that particular situation, the suspects were both known to have been in the at the front of the home, like with a plain view of like the full street. So my team tried to do what they could to be concealed. Um, in the best way that they could, quite literally, like drove a vehicle off scene and went about a block away and then looped around to the back. Like my team did everything they could to be concealed despite the fact it was broad daylight. We had power. From my understanding, the power company had also cut power to the building. I'm unsure because as far as I'm aware, shots were fired before the tactical team made their entry. So I'm not sure if they were detected at the rear or if it was just some of the can be credited to the suspect's erratic behavior from that situation that that ultimately caused things to go south. Negotiations were underway at that time, were underway right up until the moment shots were fired by the suspects. So we can't really say, I can't pinpoint the blame on my team nor any officer on scene because of the fact that my officers did everything they could with this situation they had at hand.
All right. So, do you know the whereabouts of the suspects now?
So one suspect was killed at the scene. They were shot and killed in the home. Unfortunately, they did injure the hostage as well. I've still been receiving updates on that hostage's condition. The other suspect did flee the immediate scene, but was later involved in a separate shooting and shot and killed.
All right. So, is there any other statements from any department? Did they tell you anything?
Obviously, after the tactical situation went haywire, we did a quick little on scene my team did an on scene debriefing with the on scene command of what the heck just happened, and they went over everything, and it was concluded on scene that everybody did their part and did their job. We obviously are continually doing better or more and more hostage training. My TAC team has been hard at work training a lot, and obviously this is why, because you can never truly predict what someone's going to do. So it's just like we have to continually train for the best scenarios, train for the worst scenarios, and everything in between. But the statements gathered, or that I was informed of afterwards, that were not that my officers did anything wrong on the scene. It's just things went haywire and no one can really pinpoint as to what caused it. It was largely just suspect actions that prompted things to go as haywire as they did.
All right. So, will that be all for today, or would you like to continue if you want?
If you have more questions, if you have more questions unrelated to the event, feel free to throw them my way.
All right. So, how was the public's reaction when you first got accepted into? Oh, hello.
Into the position of chief.
Yeah.
So funny thing about that, it was actually largely the public opinion or public assessment that put me in position. So back when I was appointed to chief, I had recently been promoted to assistant chief by the former chief of police gaming. And then shortly after he appointed me to ACOP, he decided that it was time for him to put in his retirement. So there was a public vote that was held um, by the server owner, by city management, of who does the public want to see as their next chief of police. And very quickly it was looking like it was going to be a competition between me and Base, but by the time the vote was concluded, within about an hour, I had over 55% of the public vote, and that vote continued to grow even after even after I was formally selected for chief of police. So I do believe that public opinion was largely in my favor as being chief, and both the public opinion assessments since have shown that the community does view me as a positive force, or as a positive leader within the FWPD. So I do believe that my own public opinion has been very high, and I continue doing everything to ensure it is.
All right. I think that will wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for joining me and this interview. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the camera?
Nothing much. Just I hope to see you guys this afternoon at our recruiting fair. Yeah, pretty much all I got. I'm happy to serve all of you, of course, and let's get after it.
All right.